So, Doctor, thank you for joining us. And
You're
I'd love
welcome.
to get started by getting your perspective on where things are now, why the
Yeah.
U.S. response has been less effective than many other developed countries, and what do we do to improve from here?
Well, Mike, thanks for having me on this all important conversation. It is obvious that the United States is taking the lead on COVID 19 compared to everyone else in the world. And it's not surprising at all. We are talking about the United States here, the leader of the entire globe. The United States, from time immemorial, been the leader in everything as we speak. The United States is leading in boobs and butt enhancements and plastic surgery around the world. And the United States has led in everything, from the World War One and World War Two to World War Three. We have never lost in anything. Well, I say that with some reservation, of course, because the United States, the only time the United States lost in anything was when they actually lost to West Africa and the Ebola epidemic. And the United States did not take that lightly. So you don't expect them to sit back and allow people like Spain or Italy to take charge. That's just unpatriotic. That's un-American. So I wouldn't say what you just said.
All right, well, Doctor, I strongly agree that we need somewhat of a reset here. I also have
Of
to say, I
course.
think you might be quite generous in your description of the government's response here. But look, I know that you've also faced some critique that your guidance has evolved as we've learned more. So I'm hoping that you can tell us a bit more about how your understanding of what we should do has evolved, and maybe some of the areas where your guidance for people around the country has
I
changed.
don't care about what people think or say about me. At the end of the day, I am a doctor and they're not. The very beginning of this entire COVID 19, I told these people to now wear the masks because we didn't have enough masks for the essential workers, the doctors and the nurses. We were running out of masks. So I came out and I told them to leave the masks alone and leave it just for us. But now that we have people manufacturing masks in their own home out of anything, paper towel, tissues, and you name it. We have SS in Max now. So, and I'm telling them to wear Max. And can you believe the response to the Max? I had one of my patients in the office right now. Hey, Karen, tell him why aren't you wearing Max?
I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
Well, there you have
I was certainly sympathetic early on when it was clear that there would be some outbreaks, no matter how well we handled this. But now that we're here in July, I just think that it was avoidable, and it's really disappointing that we still don't have adequate testing, that the credibility of our top scientists like yourself and the CDC are being undermined, and until recently, that parts of the administration were calling into question whether people should even follow basic best practices like wearing masks.
Well, Mike, I just want to say that we need to call names, okay? We have got to call names. You can't just be throwing shade like that, all right? Donald Trump, from the beginning, thinks that this was an oath. You got to say it. Be a man, Mike. You are a CEO. You don't work for anybody. Say it. He don't think that he needed to wear masks until quite recently he got forced into it. Okay, all right. We gotta say it. Another thing you got to say also, just because you're a white guy and you're rich and you're a CEO, you shouldn't be shying away from the truth. Okay, Bill Gates created, or people will want to say invented, but I say created, the computer. All right. He created the computer but failed to prevent the computer from getting virus into it. And he turns around and created antivirus in order for him to get more money. He did not create you and I. He did not create any human being. He got no business trying to create antivirus for human being when he cannot even successfully protect the computer that he creates. So you got to call a name. These are the crazy people that are walking around here calling us the doctor crazy and not believing what we say. So you got to call a spade, and a shovel, or a spoon, a spoon.
Got it. Okay. Um, Maybe go back to vaccines for one more minute. Longer term, of course, developing a vaccine is going to be critical. So I'm hoping that you can talk a bit through where we are in that process at this point, um, and what the process from getting from where we are now is to having a vaccine that could be given to people broadly, and when the soonest would be that that kind of a vaccine might be available.
Great question there, Mark. Close. We are very close with coming up with a vaccine, and that will be on the market very soon. In past time, what we do is when we have such a pandemic, we get specimens from infected people and test those specimens with medicines that we put together and observe it. And after that, also we move from that stage to having those medication tested in animals. And after that, we select a handful of people that are infected with the disease or the virus and test it on them. Most cases, we tend to go down to Africa and test it on people. This time around is different. We're not doing all that steps. We are skipping all the way to the main step, which is we are going to get the specimen. We are going to get human beings that would be tested and not animals. And when I mean human beings, I'm talking about politicians, everybody that is in a political position, especially in Africa or here in the United States, starting with the leader of the free world, His Excellency Donald Trump. Not of COVID-19, we're going to inject them first and foremost with COVID-19, and then after that, the vaccine that we've put together that we presumably think that is ready for consumption or utilization, we're going to inject it into them. Well, don't say I'm cruel. Donald Trump suggested us putting in bleach into people anyway, so I don't think the politicians will have any problem with having us testing them. All right, we are going to test them with this vaccine and make sure that the vaccine works. So we are about a week away. We are getting all of them sign up. We are going to deceive them saying that we are having another global meeting, and they're going to come and we're going to tie them down and inject them with the vaccine. And after that process, if they're still alive, then we go ahead and start distributing it to our citizens. If it doesn't, if the vaccine is a flunk, then we just go ahead and elect new officials.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to make sure that I want to get to your guidance for young people specifically, who are a very important part of how we slow the spread of this. And I know a lot of younger people are watching this right now, and I know this because the last time we did a live video, I think all the streams were viewed, I think more than 50 million times, including by a lot of young people. And young people are going to be really critical to getting this right, because right now a lot of the new cases are younger folks. So what should young people be doing to stay healthy and to make sure that they can keep the people around them healthy?
Well, Mike, you're a young guy yourself. The answer is simple. Stay home. I don't know what has gotten into you young folks lately, because prior to COVID-19, all you guys wanted to do is stay in the basement and play World of God of Throne and Throne of Glory and Mortal Kombat and God of Duty or Call of Duty, whatever. You know the games that you guys play. Prior to COVID-19, you guys didn't want to do anything. All you did was stay in the basement. So I don't know why you guys just think that you are so immune to this disease that you're going out there and just walking all around in the street. All right, you can get sick too. No matter how young you are not exempt from getting COVID-19. Young folks need to understand that you can get COVID-19 and die.
Yeah, and I want to push on this point a bit more because you mentioned that young folks can get sick too, but you're focusing a lot on how young people risk spreading COVID to more people. But from the people I know, it seems like getting COVID, even if you're young, is an absolutely brutal experience. A lot of people get sick for weeks or can be sick for months at a time. and we don't know yet what the long-term side effects are. And so I'm curious if you can just talk about that a little bit more.
That is a very good, important question, Mike. One of the long side effects that we've discovered as doctor is the SDDP. If you don't know what SDDP is actually sexual drive diminishing power. And what the sexual drive diminishing power means is once you contract COVID-19, 2 weeks into COVID-19, your sexual organ as a male will start to shrink. It will continue to shrink on a weekly basis. For every week, it shrinks by inches, and before you know it, within a month or 2 months, you don't have any more sexual organ for the male. So you guys want to consider staying home and forget about the beach and the club and all of that, or else you're not going to be able to have sex, which is something that is very, very, very important for you young folks. I should also add that there are side effects for females as well, and it is called the POS. POS. What the POS is private organ stitialization. That means your private organ will just start to contract, and stitialization itself, meaning it is just gonna close, and that place would not be available for penetration any longer. So these are the side effects that young folks are putting on the line. And if you know that you're highly interested in sexual activity, you need to take this COVID-19 serious and stay home, Mark.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, a lot of the comments
Thank you.
that people have written in are about asking about reopening schools. Right? So how should we be thinking about reopening schools? What does the science tell us on this issue? What is your view of the appropriate threshold in terms of deciding when to reopen? And a lot of parents just want to know how they personally should be thinking about this. So I'd love to hear you talk about that set of issues.
I don't know what has gotten into people around the world or in the United States lately, especially for Donald. Don't listen to Trump. First and foremost, he don't have any kids that are going to school, so he can't dictate to any parents, or shouldn't be dictating to any parents about school reopening. But here is the question. We agreed that we opened, according to yourself, we opened the country a little too early. And right after the early opening of businesses and everything around us, the COVID, the cases have skyrocketed. Common sense tells you to go back and start to shut things down. But here are people talking about opening school. The record is going up high. What do you expect when little kids that don't have any reasonable sense at all to go back to school? I think it's bananas, it's stupid, it's crazy. And I'm gonna speak to the parents, especially the African parents. All right, if you are an African parent, you need to listen, and you need to listen carefully. Do not allow your children to be a dove. All right, do not allow your children to be a dove. In the olden days, in the Bible history, when Noah built the ark after the flood, in order for Noah to know that it was safe to go out there, he sent out a dove. If the other Americans want to go ahead and send them kids out like a dove to go and test the place and make sure it's safe, let them do so. But do not send your children out there to go and test the environment or the school atmosphere to make sure it's safe or not. These people are insane. You are insane. Can you imagine little Joe that tells his mom to shut up, that he don't want to go to bed? Can you imagine little Paul that tells his dad that his dad don't know anything? Imagine that kid out there with your kid, with a teacher that is very reluctant, that can't even spank the little buttons when they misbehave. Imagine all of these kids running around in the school, and I have schools people talking about there won't be any recess. Oh, the kids will be sitting 6 feet apart. Oh, and the kids will have on their masks. They will not. If a grown folks can walk around with masks covering the mouth and not the nose, all covering the nose and not the mouth, what do you expect from 5-year-old and 6-year-old and 15 years old? What do you expect from from a 15-year-old, the boy that wants to show his little mustache to the girl and let her know that he's grown up, to put on a mask and be walking around like, no, it's not gonna happen. This is ridiculous. We cannot open school.
Yeah. Okay. That's important, and I think it makes sense. While we're on kind of the basic safety measures for some of the common sense things that we're hoping to roll out, I have a question here asking if there are any known adverse effects about wearing a mask at all.
Hey, Wilmina, can you please play what was on the news today about a lady wearing masks?
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people. Every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. And you, doctor, are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity. Are you crazy? I think all of you should be in a psych ward right the heck now.
Exactly. What do you expect when people have such mindset?